The little girl sat in the corner booth for 3 hours, untouched pancakes going cold. When the rumble of motorcycles shook the diner windows, the waitress reached for the phone. But what happened next? No one saw coming. Sarah Mitchell had been working the night shift at Ruby's Diner for 15 years. She'd seen everything. Truck drivers falling asleep in their coffee, runaways with empty pockets, couples breaking up over burnt toast. But she'd never seen a child left behind like this. The girl was maybe 7 years old, with tangled brown hair and a backpack shaped like a teddy bear. Her mother had ordered her pancakes, promised she'd be right back from the restroom, and disappeared out the back door. That was 3 hours ago. Sarah had already called the police once. They'd taken a statement, said someone would come by. But this was a small highway town where the nearest social services office was 40 miles away, and Friday nights meant everyone was stretched thin. "Honey," Sarah said gently, sliding into the booth across from the girl. "Can you tell me your name?" The child's eyes were dry, too dry, like she'd cried all her tears a long time ago. "Lily," she whispered. "My mom said she'd come back." "She always comes back." Sarah's heart cracked. "I'm sure she will, sweetheart. But maybe we should call someone else who can—" That's when the motorcycles pulled into the parking lot. Sarah didn't know that these leather-clad strangers were about to teach this broken little girl what family really meant: 8 motorcycles, the kind that made the whole building vibrate. Through the window, Sarah watched them park in a perfect line. Big men in leather vests, bandanas, tattoos covering their arms. Her hand moved toward the phone again. The diner was nearly empty. Just her, the cook, and this abandoned child. The door swung open, and they filed in. Boots heavy on the linoleum. The biggest one, a man with a gray beard and eyes like steel, surveyed the room. His gaze landed on Lily. Stopped. Sarah stepped between them instinctively. "We're about to close." The man held up both hands, palms out. "No trouble, ma'am. Just looking for coffee and whatever's still hot in the kitchen." His voice was surprisingly gentle, rough around the edges, but kind. The others spread out across the counter stools, quiet and respectful. Not what Sarah expected. Not the rowdy, dangerous men the movies had taught her to fear. But the big man didn't sit. He kept looking at Lily, something working in his jaw. "That little one been here long?" he asked quietly. Sarah's instinct was to lie. Protect the child, but something in his expression stopped her. Her mother left. Hours ago, the man's face darkened. Not with anger, with something deeper. Something that looked a lot like pain. The man walked slowly to Lily's booth, and Sarah moved with him, ready to intervene. "Hey there, little miss," he said, kneeling beside the table so he was at her eye level. "My name's Jack. What's yours?" Lily looked at him with those 2 old eyes. "Lily, that's a pretty name. You waiting for someone?" She nodded. "My mom. She said she'd be right back." Jack's jaw tightened. He glanced at Sarah. "How long?" 3 hours. He closed his eyes briefly, like he was fighting something inside himself. When he opened them again, Sarah saw they were wet. "Lily, I'm gonna sit right here and wait with you, okay? And my friends over there, they're gonna wait too." "Why?" Lily asked. "Because nobody should wait alone." One of the other bikers, a woman with silver hair and intricate sleeve tattoos, came over carrying a stuffed dog from what looked like her saddlebag. "I'm Jenny," she said softly. "This is Duke. He's been riding with me for 5 years, but I think he'd like to keep you company tonight. If that's okay?" Lily took the stuffed animal carefully, clutching it like a lifeline. Sarah watched, stunned, as these intimidating strangers transformed the diner into something else entirely. One bought Lily fresh hot chocolate. Another asked if she liked coloring and produced a book and crayons. A third sat nearby and told terrible jokes until Lily almost smiled, but Jack stayed closest. And Sarah noticed he kept staring at Lily's backpack, specifically at the small purple ribbon tied to the zipper. "That's a nice ribbon," he said hoarsely. "My sister gave it to me," Lily said. "Before she went away," Jack's face went pale. "Your sister?" "Ava. She was older. She used to take care of me when Mom—" Lily trailed off. "She promised she'd never leave me. But she did. Everyone does." Jack stood up abruptly and walked outside. Sarah followed him. leaving Jenny with Lily. She found him leaning against his motorcycle, shoulders shaking. "You okay?" she asked. "What's the girl's last name?" His voice was strangled. "Morrison. Lily Morrison." Jack let out a sound between a laugh and a sob. Jesus Christ, what's going on?" He pulled out his wallet with shaking hands and showed Sarah a photograph. A teenage girl with brown hair and a bright smile, wearing a purple ribbon in her ponytail. "Ava Morrison," he whispered. She was 17. Ran away from an abusive home 4 years ago. We found her sleeping behind a gas station. My wife Jenny and I. We brought her to the police, but she begged us not to send her back. His voice broke. So we didn't. We became her foster family. Gave her a home. She started calling us Mom and Dad. Where is she now? Dead. The word came out like a knife. 2 years ago. Car accident. She made us promise we'd find her little sister one day. Made us swear we'd get her somewhere safe. But the mother had moved, changed phones. We looked for months. Couldn't find her. He looked at Sarah with tears streaming into his beard. That's Ava's sister in there. I'd know that ribbon anywhere. She told us she gave it to Lily before she left. Said it was a promise they'd see each other again. Sarah felt the world tilt. This wasn't coincidence. This wasn't chance. This was something bigger. Something impossible to explain, but impossible to deny. They went back inside together. Jack sat down next to Lily again, and this time he was crying openly. "Lily," he said gently, "did Ava ever tell you about the people she lived with? After she left?" Lily nodded slowly. "She called sometimes, when Mom was asleep. She said she found a family who loved her, a biker family. She said," Lily's voice grew smaller, "she said one day she'd come back and get me. Take me somewhere safe. Sweetheart." Jack's voice was barely a whisper. "Ava was my daughter. Not by blood, but by choice. And before she died, she made me promise something." Lily looked at him, hope and fear warring on her face. "She made me promise that if I ever found you, I'd keep you safe. That I'd give you the family she never got to give you herself. You knew Ava?" "I loved her," Jack said, tears falling freely now. "We both did. Me and Jenny, she lived with us. She was happy. And she talked about you every single day." Lily dropped the stuffed dog and threw her arms around Jack's neck, sobbing. "I miss her. I miss her so much." "I know, baby, I know." "Me too." He held her like she was made of glass. "But you're not alone anymore. You hear me? You're not alone." Jenny knelt beside them, wrapping both of them in her arms. The other bikers had gone silent, some wiping their eyes. "We're gonna make sure you're safe," Jenny whispered to Lily. "We're gonna do what Ava would have wanted. You don't have to wait anymore." It wasn't just a little girl they rescued that night. It was a promise kept across the veil of death. A sister's love reaching back from heaven to make sure her baby sister finally found home. The police came eventually. Social services arrived near dawn. There were questions, paperwork, investigations, but Jack and Jenny didn't leave. They stayed through every interview, every phone call. They'd already been approved as foster parents years ago for Ava. They knew the system, and they fought like hell. 6 months later, Sarah got a letter at the diner. It was from Lily. She was living with Jack and Jenny now, officially in their care while they worked toward adoption. The letter included a picture, Lily smiling, really smiling, wearing a leather vest too big for her tiny frame. Surrounded by bikers who'd become her uncles and aunts. At the bottom, in a child's careful handwriting, Ava kept her promise. She sent her family to find me. Sarah kept that letter taped to the register, a reminder that angels don't always wear white robes and halos. Sometimes they wear leather and ride. Motorcycles, sometimes they show up exactly when hope is almost gone. Sometimes the people who look the most dangerous are the ones with the biggest hearts, because they've been broken themselves, and they know exactly how to heal the broken. Have you ever misjudged someone based on how they looked, only to discover they had the kindest heart you'd ever met? Sometimes the universe sends us protectors in unexpected packages. We just have to be brave enough to see past the surface. Do you believe our loved ones watch over us, even after they're gone, guiding the right people into our lives at exactly the right moment?